hopefully not hold you up. John should be here from the other building shortly.
Well, thank you for putting us on the schedule and giving us time to talk to you guys. We appreciate that. As I'm sure you've heard, we did make a recommended preferred alternative yesterday. I sent that over to the next kind of meeting as that was coming. With that recommended preferred alternative, I just want to let you know that is ITD's recommended preferred alternative. HWA and the other agencies have not brought up on that at this point. So we believe we have enough screening of the two projects. We believe we have enough information that we can make that selection now. Now, that does not mean that we won't continue to study the other alternative. We'll be hearing that on through the EIS. As we collect more data, if there's information that comes in, our decision may change. That's something that we'll just have, this remains to be seen as we move this along. What I kind of wanted to do today, or IT, was to talk to you guys about maybe some of the reasons we did, some high-level reasons. We can kind of go through them and kind of explain them to you. If you guys have any questions, you go ahead and just pipe in whenever you want. The first one, alternative H2 improves spacing of interchanges and provides more weaving length. When we talk about this, if we was on Broadway and was heading on I-15 northbound, and cars coming up that ramp at the same time someone's on I-15 and turn off at Grandview, we created, the cars are trying to occupy that same space. One's trying to get off at the same time, another car's trying to get on. With H2, that in the spacing there, we was able to eliminate a lot of these weaving issues that we've had through from Broadway all the way out to the Lewis interchange, because we did have 6 interchanges in there, and the spacing was way too tight for them. It's been a problem for years, especially as traffic increased. Alternative H2 changes interchange spacing, provides better access and smoother exiting. Again, by spacing these out, the drivers come through there, they have more time to make a decision, the sign's a lot easier. With driver expectations on E3, there's a lot more decisions that have to be made in a lot quicker time because there's a lot more going on in a tighter area. Alternative H2 separates regional traffic from local traffic, reducing congestion in the city. The big thing on that, when we did our traffic analysis, 35 to 45% of traffic going through the Elk Falls area was just passenger traffic and you're stopping. By moving this out and to the north of town, we're able to pull up to 40% of traffic off that route out during the even like that tourism season and whatnot. So that will make that existing US 20 functional a lot better because we're going to pull so much traffic off of it.
So what will be the route from 20?
The route from 20 will be north of the airport and then back to US 20 on Telford Road or near the St. Leon interchange.
North of the airport. So how are you going to move people from Highway 20 west on the ARC without bringing them through?
They will still continue through Grandview and Broadway.
Oh,
still,
would.
Yes. Yep.
So I don't understand how that alleviates that 40%.
Well, I would say 40% from exit 119 Grandview across Lindsay, Riverside Drive, Johns Hole, and Science Center. That traffic wouldn't be going into that portion of Elk Falls.
So last night on Channel 8 News, they said that this includes an option for that west belt to bring them off of Highway 20 before they get to Elk Falls.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that true? I never thought that was part of this.
No, I think we mentioned last time he was in here, but
I think the press release said that's a separate project, or that's something separate, just to clarify, but it may have actually caused some confusion.
What we're going to build it with no west connection, but we're going to design it if and when there's a need for it that we don't have to tear interchange back down and then rebuild it, because these things are pretty spendy. So it'll be designed to be able to be expanded if needed. But at this point, we have no intention of moving to the west.
I was surprised that Channel 8 was reporting it that way.
Yeah, you know, there's a few things that was said there that wasn't, I didn't hear, a friend told me that wasn't 100% accurate on that.
So to get out that traffic, say came to Jackson, continue out to the site, they would get on the freeway, through coming west. They get on the freeway, come to the Broadway exit, and then go west.
From Jackson at this point, currently, that would be the route, but we have other projects in the program. And one of them, that I've mentioned to you, I think in past meetings, is from Beach's Corner to the St. Leon interchange.
But connecting all those going out to Arco would have to go through with this design, would exit on the freeway, go over and jump off on Broadway.
Correct, yep.
So you're gonna run all that traffic down Broadway?
Well, it would be anything that's running down 26 from Jackson's running that direction anyway.
It's gonna run down Broadway?
Well, it has been.
No, it hasn't been. It's been going down Grandview.
The Grandview's not closed. It'll still be open to grade separation, and they can still use that route.
On the off-ramp.
The existing 20 still remaining in place.
It is?
Yes.
Okay, so the off-ramp that you'll be fixing up
Yep, that all will still be open at this point.
at this point.
Yes, and now when we move to building the portion between Broadway and Grandview, there'll still be a grade separation there going down the old 20 that'll take you up onto Grandview and go, and it won't stop that traffic movement.
Okay, so they wouldn't have to build the Broadway exit.
No,
Go around.
they would not.
They wouldn't have to, I think what Ryan is saying is the designated route will be that way, but they'll still be able to use Grandview to get over there to.
Google Maps will tell them to take Grandview, but the highway department signs will tell them to take Broadway.
Why would that be the designated route? Why would you wanna have trucks coming from Jackson and wanting to go west, go
Well,
down Broadway?
we've signed that after the 20 at the Beach's Corner to St. Leon interchanges, that connection built. We've signed to have tough traffic go that way, but you're right. Google will, if someone's, Google tracks them times, they may try to drag, they may still send trucks that way from time, if people's using that.
You'd have been a lot better off to do the on-alignment.
Yeah, we kind of felt like looking more of the long term of the growth in the area and several other screening factors that we looked into and screened out. We felt like this was the best route. Now, that's not to say that this is going to be the selected route. It's what we believe will be, but after we finish through the environmental impact statement, that'll proof it all out at the
The
end.
environmental impact statement, is that going to address our concerns on landfill?
Now, the landfill issue, you had concerns about the use of the landfill. And the last time I was in here, I think I mentioned that we was planning on crossing the closed portion of the landfill. And you mentioned we may still have, be using a portion of that, the last time we spoke. What I'd say is that as we start gathering data, that property title is under the city of Idaho Falls now.
Aware of that.
And so when we do any sort of negotiation, it's gonna have to go through the city of Idaho Falls because the fee title, they're the underlying owner of that property.
But would there be consideration to us having use for that to help relocate, or would it just all be a decision of the city of Idaho Falls to kick us out?
And I don't know, I think that that's something that we're gonna have to continue to have conversations with you on. I think that that's something we can't answer right now, can we, Karen?
Okay, kind of put that in our concern, just because we still would like to have some input on that,
Okay.
you know.
Well, we're always gonna be, we'll be coming back to you and we'll still be listening to your concerns. We're not gonna just, now at this point, shut you guys off and go a different direction. I'll come again and continue to hear your concerns. How they work out, that's gonna have to be something we figure out in the future.
Because I think it would be nice to have representatives of the county involved in the discussion of the negotiations with City of Idaho Falls, so they aren't done over here. And then all of a sudden we're notified.
Yes.
You know, this goes back to an old guy with ancient history that decisions were made on Sunnyside, which was kind of spawned by the county taking over the other road. And all of a sudden we found out that they had closed off Bellin Road. You know, we weren't even aware of it, you know, that off ramp going in there. You know, we had to work real hard with the city to get the little workaround that we had. But
By Westmont.
yeah, they just shut it off.
Yeah.
And we weren't even notified of that. We would hope not to have that happen again.
And we will continue to communicate with them. So that's my commitment to you. And we'll get the city involved too.
Yeah, the communication we're requesting is to at least have, you know, Road and Bridge, maybe Austin, involved in those discussions with the City of Idaho Falls.
Okay,
We're aware of that firsthand.
okay, no problem. Any other questions without that bullet or, okay?
And there, yeah, those type of discussions, maybe even as we go forward with some property acquisition, if there's ever property that then would be suited for that type of thing. I'm not saying that we have that identified, but that's, we don't have all the answers right now.
But that's why we'd like to be involved in that, to at least have the input from our standpoint on what that would take.
Now, would you see this more of like a working meeting with a commissioner and just the councilman? Because if I put all three together, then it's a quorum.
It could be, you know, I'm not going out to the he's on BMPO, so it'd be good to have John there, but at the minimum, at least staff.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, Lance and I work real well together. I don't have a problem with that.
okay.
I might be getting ahead of you, but what is the time frame then?
To build this?
Yeah,
Well, currently, there's no funding that's approved to construct this project. We're gonna start pursuing that. So I don't know exactly when this is gonna happen. I know that, the people above me are working hard to try to secure funding, but this could
what would
be
be the soonest, since we're looking at landfill?
the soonest we're not gonna finish the EIS for another, until August of 2024. And then, you know, there's still the design that we have to put together. Maybe it goes to a design build and it's being designed and built on the fly, or maybe we do a conventional design and we bid it out. But that's still probably a couple of years down the road beyond that. Do you agree with that? So minimum of 4 years probably.
What happens, or what we're kind of, right, for some flexibility or opportunities for funding is when you have an environmental document done and you have a project to a certain level, you can apply for grants. So getting this project to that point, you know, we've looked at different types of grants that we may be able to apply for. So those are usually in the springtime. So we won't be able to submit for it this year, but we will be submitting for some of those grants next year. And then just looking for any other opportunities for the type of funding needed for this huge project.
What I'm hearing is it would be highly unlikely to not be before 2026.
Correct.
Yep. Unless a windfall of cash dropped in our laps.
And possibly even a couple of years after that.
Yeah, it could be, you know, 3-4 years down the road.
Worst case scenario, it could be as soon as if somebody dropped a golden egg in your lap.
There's always that chance. With this kind of money, I don't know how likely that is.
Right.
I still don't think it'd happen before 2026.
Well, because
Just
you gotta
because
get
of the
done.
design.
You have to get
Yeah,
design, we have to go
design.
out there and drill and, you know, there's a lot of structures on this. We're gonna have to be plugging holes in a lot of locations to drill down and see what that earth is like underneath there to make
Okay,
sure.
when would the decision be made, the negotiations for that property around on the landfill, the earliest?
Okay, with that, being that, there's a lot of development going on in the community, we're looking at trying to preserve that corridor in advance. So that could happen within 3 to 6 months, we might be talking to you about.
And that's what concerns me as much as anything, is the deal's already cut, even though it doesn't start for a few years. And we need to know what to plan and hopefully allow for some mitigation to start looking at moving.
Well, the other thing is let's just say that we did secure that right away, in the next 6 months. That doesn't mean we're building anything there. That property still can be used.
But that's why it's important for us to be there to get that understanding.
Yeah.
With the city of Battle Falls, so that we can continue to do that if
Yeah.
it goes that way.
So if it does go that way, I think that you'd have a big window still, because we don't mind the pit being used, or if we take,
Well, I
Control
thought
that.
our current alignment doesn't actually, because it's over a closed portion, it's not
Right.
impacting your current operation in the pit.
Is
It
it,
would impact the current operation just because of,
or
right now, the way it's shown through there, our operation kind of cuts across both of it. So,
is that because we're doing the chipping and the
well, just the entrance in. Even the entrance in and where people come into the site.
are you talking about where the gate where you pull in and you check in?
Yeah,
Everything is gonna be north of that area.
but that's where we're actively filling
yeah,
on
that's the
there.
active fill.
Oh, okay, because what I believe that our alignment is sitting on that closed portion.
Just further north.
You may want to double check that, because I think we're actively filling in that area.
Okay, and if that's the case, we'll look at it. Okay,
Case in point, why we want.
Getting
to
all on the
involved
same
in
page.
the
not a problem.
Discussions.
Okay.
Okay.
And Karen's taking notes on this, and we'll keep you in the loop.
You brought your secretary.
Yeah.
No, I write at everything, so.
Yes.
It's to, the two things are takeaways is we're gonna include representatives from
Yeah.
the county as we talk to the city, and that includes road and bridge and planning and zoning, Austin. And then, looking really closely at what our alignment and your current operation is. We need to get some maps up.
I think we're gonna be able to show you, is that pulling it up here?
On your website, that H2 appeared to me anyway, to be in a portion that we're still working on. That land.
Just a little bit below your cursor there,
You
that
have,
white spot.
you have quite a bit south. I imagine you're trying to stay away from
Do you mind if I walk up and point where I'd be
Yeah.
approximate location?
Zoom in on it just a little more.
So that line with, I don't know if you see that, boy, I wish I was taller, Karen, come over here. That yellow line running right there, that line will be north of that line, I believe.
north of that line.
Correct. Yep.
And if it is north of the line, then it's probably outside of where we're actively.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was further south.
Even a little bit to the east there, so I think we're still active.
We're mostly south of that line.
Okay, where's Padero Drive?
Padero Drive is further north.
Yeah, scroll down just a touch here. and see.
Right there.
Yeah. See, and that's why I'd like us to be there to listen to some of this, because I know that the city residents out there are gonna probably have input with the city about putting that close to that residential. Sometimes that takes a little priority over our concerns. The city council hears.
And yeah, we're more than willing to work with you guys on that stuff. Any other questions before I go to the next bullet? Okay, H2 disperses local traffic across a broader network to address congestion and mobility needs in the area. And what we mean by that is there's basically 3 river crossings in Idaho Falls. And one's gonna be Pancarry, and then there's Broadway, and then there's the Johns Hole Bridge crossing. And then further south, we have Sunnyside. And what happens with that river running through Idle Falls is it creates a natural barrier, and it causes funneling effect of traffic funneling onto Broadway and Grandview and Pancarry. By moving further north, it'll help disperse that traffic out better. And over as the traffic counts continue to pick up, it'll help the system work better. I don't know if you guys remember, back not very long ago, we only had 3 crossings, and you look at what's going on south of Idle Falls at Pancarry, that's a very heavily used area, and you see the convention center that's out there, that Mountain West Center, and that whole place is blown up, excuse me.
Well, that's because Sunnyside, you know, put that to Lee Gagne, I don't know if you remember when he was on the board.
Yep.
You know, he got the funding on that because they needed that extra access across there. And the expensive part was gonna be the bridge.
Yep, it always is.
Yeah. Of course, they have to do a little lousy around that.
Power plant and stuff.
Yeah, not power, let's see, I guess there's a power plant, there's a sewer. So they had to kind of thread the needle through there.
Yeah.
Bring up I-15, bring up their website that shows the plan, shows the H2 plan. How does that bridge disperse any local traffic and help with any funneling? Because isn't it strictly I-15 traffic that's gonna?
It'll be I-15 US 20 traffic, and you're not running it through the existing system. But also as growth continues to happen to the north, that's another option to head to the west, or if you're on the west side, head to the east. To just help disperse traffic, and especially any traffic coming from the Rexburg, Yukon, Rigby areas. That gives another option. You're not running right to the city.
Yeah, I think it's gonna move a lot of Highway 20 traffic across the county line bridge. It's gonna move a lot of that traffic will choose to do county line
And then hit the interstate.
and either hit the interstate or go through Osgood to go back to Highway 20.
We did a sensitivity analysis early on in this process just to see, right, where is that trade-off between where it starts to be too much out of direction travel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we saw this Telford, or where this is at 49th is probably the ideal location for that. So we hope to reduce, right, the additional traffic that may go or use. I mean, there's not anything that we can do to stop the trucks or stop the traffic from using county line and cutting over to the interstate. I think there are some that do that now, but this, for the majority of our traffic, as we we did that sensitivity to say, okay, if it moves further north, because everybody does Google and travel, and it'll tell you the route that takes the least time. So this. I
think I've been pretty clear from the front, and everybody knows I'm pretty prejudiced to protect that farming area out on the west side. And it's not only me, our comprehensive plan puts some pretty good emphasis on protecting prime agricultural farmland. And when you talk about that west side, that is the prime agricultural farmland in Bonneville County. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was Bone Dry Farm. Your farm is second, but it's right there close.
Oh, we produce a lot of rock.
Well, we produce, and again, I don't want it to sound the wrong way, but we produce the very best potatoes in Bonneville County, right there in that west side corridor. And so it's a pretty important asset. And I'm not looking at my lifetime, I'm looking down the road.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty sensitive to what anything that happens that in 50 years is going to ruin some of the best agricultural ground in Bonneville County.
Yeah, I understand that 100%. you know, as the growth occurs, that, you know, over time, sometimes farmland gets sold off and change development and those types of things. We'll be mindful, you know, this is if it becomes a need, then we'll come back to you. We just can't look into the future, but as it sits, I think it's important that ITD address the issue of expansion and design it so that it can happen if it does. But we don't have an intention of doing it right now. But I do understand what you're saying. I live in Rigby, and all these farm fields that are now houses, and I used to hunt in them fields, and it's kind of tough to watch and see.
Well, that's something to Austin's taking notes, because we're reworking our area of impact, our comprehensive plan, area of impact out there, which we've asked to have that put in with a strong emphasis on the ag.
Okay.
So that'll be it.
Yeah, and obviously, kind of as a general part of development, as you start to bring an interchange or something into an area, it gets more appeal for a city to move that direction. And so when you're talking about, you know, what Commissioner Reed's talking about with the ag ground, putting that traffic there is gonna bring more appeal for the city to try and grow in that direction, because now they have a major access to that area that wasn't necessarily established before. So I think there is, you know, a direct impact on what a comprehensive plan and what the planning process is gonna reflect with a major interchange there, because it changes the designations of what that ground
And you're not,
becomes.
I'm not just, I appreciate that, Austin. I'm not just talking about, well, you know, it's sad to see those farm fields go because I used to hunt there. I'm talking about changing the whole core of what built Bonneville County and Idaho Falls. You're talking about changing the whole culture that built this area when you destroy that prime farm ground. Because you take all of the Great Western Canal irrigation system on that area. That goes back to what started this whole valley. You move the farmland beyond that, you're all deep wells, you're all desert, you're all alkaline, poor soil. You're talking about, you know, and it's not, people think that I'm passionate about this because, oh, I just don't want to see the change, or, you know, I don't like the houses. No, you're talking about changing the culture and the core of Bonneville County.
Yeah.
So people need to understand that it's more than just, oh, I hate to see the growth.
But that's where the county and the city have differences of opinion.
Yes, we do.
Because we sensed when that was floated, wasn't one of the options, this H2, that there was a lot of input from the city because they want the enterprise area, and you know they're trying to, I'm sure their input is going to be what will help the city grow, and we're kind of coming at it from the other standpoints. So we want to make sure we have both voices in the room.
Yeah, and as this progresses, we'll keep you involved, and, you know, as this expands to if it does. Now, what I'd say is, it's just a thought, and there's possibilities a road could go there and it could have full control access. There's no access similar to an interstate. And now it's just a road, but the farmland still exists. There's things like that, but I don't know, I'm projecting too far out in the future to address them, but there might be ways to still preserve that farmland and put a road in there. With the exception of the impact of where the road would sit.
You might as well just run for office if you're here in 30 years. That input.
The biggest threat is just exactly what Austin says, that causes the growth, that opens up the growth corridor. That's the biggest risk. Yeah, you can put a road there, you can work around that, but as soon as the growth starts going that way,
It starts
you're done.
turning into it, yeah.
Yeah, you're done.
Because I told these guys once that idea of the H2 was floated, that's the one the city's going to be pushing for. And that's why we're concerned, because it doesn't take any regard under what happens to our hatch pit and things like that. We want to be involved in all that.
And, you know, we was actually looking at some options a little bit north of this on 81st, I believe. And as we looked at them options Karen mentioned earlier, they became less beneficial because of the out of direction travel and whatnot, to invest that money, and it wouldn't be as used as well as this option would be. The traffic counts would drop off because it was too far north. So as we looked at what's going on 81st, we had to come south to know that, that we was gonna pick up that traffic load and it was be used the way it was intended. Okay, any other questions? I'll go to the next one here. H2 aligns with local growth and economic development plans as outlined in the BMPO study, including the transportation alternative study and the ulterior belt loop study. We have past studies that align and support this decision, in the past. I can't remember how many years back they were, but those do align with some past studies that we had done. The next one, H2 provides better opportunity to enhance the bike and pedestrian facilities near the city. As that growth is moving, that the traffic's moved to the north, the existing US 20 can then be developed with more of to allow for more pedestrian movement in there. It's not just a freeway. H2 has fewer impacts on environmental justice communities along the existing US 20. And the last one here is alternative H2 is easier to construct in phases and provides incremental improvements with each phase. Earlier we were talking about funding, and that's a pretty large funding package that we'll have to develop to be able to even build this project. And H2 is easier to construct with phases of funding. With alternative E, when we start that, we pretty much have to build it to start to end. There's not a phasing that'll work for it. So the funding package, if it comes in smaller, we can work to build this in phases a lot easier. The other thing that does is it would be easier to construct because we wouldn't be building it under such a heavy traffic load. So those are the kind of the highlighted high information bullets that we have here that we wanted to present to you. I don't know if you have any other questions.
No, but just a comment on that. Is it possible to do the phases to kind of put the piece in the middle to connect it all after you've got the others fixed up, because that preserves hatch pit for longer? And the thing we're looking at is some of the potential options for replacing hatch pit are out by York in those gravel pits. Some of those could be depleted within 10 to 15 years. So if it's possible to have that as an option by then.
Well, the one thing about that is by building the northern piece first, it's removing traffic load on the existing 20 in that area there. I think that it would be more.
But you wouldn't be able to really use it until you have the whole thing connected.
I closed Parcel.
It actually, I think that it would still divert. It would take all the traffic off of the existing 20 and towards Pocatello. There would still be a benefit, but it would be, if it kind of logically looking at how you'd sequence this would probably logically be unless I'm missing something here, the logical first build. That way it turns that second build where there's a lot of heavy traffic in there to face it and put it in.
This looks to me like it's further south than what you indicated on that parcel viewer map. It's hard to tell. Is this in our field?
So I think our field is a little bit south of where that is,
Yeah,
but it's close.
I mean, it's very close. The line that you showed us before is more right up in here.
I think it's a little south of that. The line I was pointing at.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a bit south of that, actually.
Is it?
Yeah. You see that white line that's horizontal, a little right there?
Mm-hmm.
That's about the line right there.
And I think that white line, that's on honestly probably the northern end of where we're filling
Is
now.
it? Okay.
But it's, I mean, we have stuff out there close by, and if you're within 400 or 500 feet of this, it's certainly gonna make an impact.
In the neighborhood.
Yeah, you're
Right
right
there.
there.
That's what.
So, do we have agreements or a lease with Idaho Falls, or what are we working under on that land deal for that property?
I believe it's an agreement that we are essentially using their land to do it, and part of that agreement was this was eventually gonna be turned over for use as a park.
So there's no, Bonneville County doesn't have any guarantee that we can use it
I'm
until
not-
it's full, or is what I'm getting at is when it comes to these negotiations, does Idaho Falls have any obligation to Bonneville County to continue to provide that landfill?
I haven't actually read through the whole agreement, so I don't know.
That's gonna be
And I'm
important.
hoping that Scott Hall has a copy of that agreement. I don't know that I can put my hand on it.
So
And Lance, if you do get your hands on it, can you forward it over to us to review?
Yeah, because that's gonna be important. I mean,
Yeah.
can Idaho Falls just say, sure, we'll sell it to you, or do they have obligations that they have to fulfill?
Yeah. And I don't know if you see that little white line there that I was pointing out on the other
Yeah,
one.
you're right, that's
It's
right
right
on
there.
it, yeah. So that's this line.
Yeah.
So you're clear up in here then.
Yeah, we're running through that area. If you go back to that map again, the other drawing there, you can see that little arched road going, just a little bit north of the road there. There's a little arch down just right there. Now, if you flip back to the other map, you can see that's that arch right there.
Oh,
So in the plan that said this was maybe future planned to be a park, was there any timing of that? Like how long
I
the
don't know
county
if there was a-
estimated that they might even be able to use this?
And it's been a long time since I even said part of the agreement, so I don't.
I think it's good
you know,
time to go, find it,
if Idaho
read
Falls
it.
have any obligation to Bonneville County,
That I don't know, we're gonna have to look at the agreements, and that's what we'll have to see what they're basing their decision on. Cause,
I'll do some digging and see if I can come up with that agreement.
yeah, when I took office 28 years ago, all the residents along Bavaro came in and said, well, the city told us, when they developed that there would be a park within 2 years.
Still using
Still
it.
not there.
Yeah, and it would, and they corrected that, but they didn't tell the residents that. It was the real estate people that did it, so I don't know what the agreements say.
That, I'll do some digging.
Okay.
Find the agreement. Or maybe Kayla could find it right away.
Yeah, that's back quite a ways.
You have to blow a little bit of
Before I
dust
was
off that
here,
agreement.
yeah, that's a long time ago.
And part of it was HK and part of it was the city.
What year was
It's still part
Have
of
any
it.
idea when we
Part of
started?
it's still
doing
HK.
that?
Yeah, that white spot there, that's HK, that's the owner of that property.
Right. But I don't know when we started operations out there. That was before me.
It's been a long time.
Any other questions for us?
No?
Well, we appreciate your time, and I know sometimes we don't always bring great news, but we'll just kind of work in the process, and we're more than willing to listen to you. All right. Well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Good to see you guys.
Hey, man, so I'll probably give you a call later on
Okay.
some other things, but it's good seeing you guys. Thank you.
what I was thinking. The city of Idaho Falls already has plans to try to reach out and get that area
Oh, yeah, this
as
is all,
part of their
this
new
is all
area of
about
impact,
expansion.
but, you know, that, where that alignment is, runs right through their innovation district that they're planning on doing.
Imagine that.
So that'll make easier access, and then see their talk already is when we had our
That's why.
area of impact meeting with them,
It's
when we do
65th
that, we're
north.
probably gonna plan out to that area, because bringing the interchange in there makes easier access to all those properties for development, which it does. I mean, you can't argue with that, but it puts it right. So they were looking at that area, and then they started talking about the fish piece, and I said, well, I don't think you're gonna get the piece north of that anytime soon, so you might just wanna leave that like
On which one?
on the area of impact, cause
That's on the.
there's an
west side, yeah.
annexation application for the piece just south of Brian's farm.
Oh, on the
And
west
so
side.
I just told them, they said, well, what if we moved that way? I said, I think I'd just leave that line there, cause that piece north, nothing's getting.
So they used that argument, on the west side of this?
I'm sure
Idaho
they
Falls.
will in their new area of impact stuff, they'll
Yeah.
wanna pick up some of that area because of the interchange.
But on this side, they're already up to 65th north, so they're another mile north. of
Except
where this
I
alignment-
don't think they've settled Johnson's piece yet, but
They had asked for a jury trial, which they didn't get it filed in time for a jury trial, so it'll be up to the judge. No, but, you know, my question is, shouldn't this help their case for the value being too low? Because if this looks like it's gonna happen there.
yeah, I mean, that'll bring value to that property, and I imagine the eventual plan is there'll be an on and off ramp right there at that interchange. They'll probably build it out to be a crossover and then one that goes
Which
under
the
the
city
exit.
will get compensated for, this property that they're trying to buy for nothing. I bet you they make a pretty good penny.
And they'll want the access to the innovation district from the highway too, so I'm sure there'll be on and off ramps in there somewhere.
Where's the on and off ramp right now? They don't have one planned in there, do they?
They don't have one planned right
No,
now.
but I'm sure they'll put one in there.
Yeah, but that.
Or isn't that one right there?
Well, so on Fifth West, there's a off ramp right there.
Yeah,
but
see,
there's
so
not
that'll
one on
feed right
Brooksville
into their
Highway.
innovation district.
Yeah, but it'd have to go back in there, because otherwise you put too many on and off ramps, they're gonna have.
Well,
to use
that's
it.
why you don't have one at Louisville Highway, you have one at Fifth West, and then one out
At
there
49.
past. Is they don't want those off ramps too close together, they don't want.
But I would
to repeat extra
imagine
118,
if you go to the
119.
west on that, Brian, I would imagine the eventual plan will be where that interchange is, that they'll integrate some sort of on-off ramp to feed the
So-
west side too.
Well, so
Oh, yeah.
Federal Highways told them that they would need to make plans, and it was actively fought against by me on showing that because of the agricultural land out there. What Ryan was saying was Federal Highways has tied their hands on some of this with the EPA study and said, if you don't make some accommodation for a westward route, we're not gonna do any of this, and you'll never get any money for it. Period.
Yeah, you knew that was gonna
So Federal Highways is, I think they've got their fingers too much in local stuff, so.
happen. And he's right, they had that beltway 25, 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, that's been part of the master plan.
but a lot of this is coming because of the pressure city of Idaho Falls. I don't know, if pressure is the right word.
They are certainly looking at it as an opportunity to grow further north.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Well, that was fun.
Are we still recording?
Yes.
What else we got?
on DocuSign is a state local agreement for the safety project at Fifth, or Holmes and 49th South, to sign that state local agreement and give them initial upfront payment of $6,000.
What are the, fine with that, but what's the sewer project on Fifth West, that they've kind of working, is that through that
I don't-
interchange?
Fifth West?
Is it, I don't know, they announced some road closures because they're putting sewer in there someplace.
I haven't heard.
Look back at the press releases.
Yeah, I know out on Fifth West, they're looking to try to get sewer up to 65th North. They're looking to annex on the east side of Fifth West. There's a parcel in there that they're looking
This
to
was a
annex.
construction project that they said, the traffic
So
would be disrupted.
It may be that subdivision right at the intersection of 65th North,
Yeah, I bet it is.
And
but I haven't heard.
Did they annex the road?
I talked to them about, if you are going to do this, you are
My
going to
next
need to
question
act.
is, did they get a dig permit if they didn't?
I don't know if they've actually closed it down. I don't know if they got a dig permit. I don't know if they got one on 49 South either.
Did you find?
See what
Yeah,
happens when you go on
49 South.
vacation?
49 South is the other one. Where are they doing that?
So it was that First East? I think it was west of First East that they've shut down part of 49 South.
And they never came.
I don't know if they did or not. John deals with all of that, and I don't see all of them that come through.
We might want to have him run those through you, so he doesn't just automatically sign off on them until we get all of our conditions in there. What else we got?
We got another right-of-way contract for 45th East. It's for Parcel 106, Stosage. And with that, the last one that we have to deal with is Alvin Hatch, and it's still not.
He's not living there. One of his kids is.
Yeah, but it's still under his name.
His daughter and her husband live there.
It's getting very close to the time when we're gonna have to decide to go eminent domain if we're gonna get this done.
Stosages had quite a bit of frontage along there, didn't they?
They had a fair amount of footage. It wasn't near as much of an impact as some of the other properties out there, but they have a fair amount of
But
frontage.
still expensive.
Yeah, it's still expensive. All of it's expensive.
Does it require an action from us to proceed on Alvin Hatch's then?
I believe so, yeah, to declare eminent domain and go through that process, I believe it takes some action on the.
So I think this is about what you consider to be your deadline to make that decision.
Probably next Friday.
Do we have to publish it, give notice? It seems like
I
we
don't
don't have to.
Think so, and that would
No.
probably be a question for Scott.
I think you're right away, it just gives them notice and get it out to them 57,000.
But, well, for this one, this is for Stolzich, but Alvin Hatches. So,
I think we just authorize them to start working.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. Okay. So
Need a motion for that?
Second.
Okay.
And I agree. with all notices.
Yeah, I would say we just proceed.
Okay. We have a lease agreement to be renewed with a Galen Williams for the 10-acre pit that we no longer use.
Grazing,
What's that?
for grazing.
For grazing, yeah. He just wanted to have a renewed permit, so I've included the past one. It's essentially the same, I've just updated it, and he wanted to keep it the same, so.
That reminds me, Doug Steele, over on West River Road, where City of Idaho Falls, wanted to.
Trade us
property
worthless
and stuff.
property for,
Yeah,
that one.
gravel pit. He would like to lease that this spring. For grazing.
Okay, so if he wants to do that, do you have any of the particulars about how much land and stuff? Because part of it is the City of Idaho Falls and part of it is on ours.
That's not the piece we use for sheriff's training, is it?
Yeah,
They
it is.
have
Oh,
used
it
that in
is.
the past.
Yeah, it is.
You
It's
might
called
wanna
Church
keep
Farm
that
Pit.
option available if we need it.
I think he's spoken with the sheriff's office and they've got no problem with it.
We're not gonna build out that training. Just don't use it.
It's,
Should
So
be
right
just
here.
right there, yeah. I think it's one of those, that piece,
that one,
and that piece.
Which means
both
the
of them,
city-
so that's what it would be. Whoops, what did I just do?
What do we
Lance,
charge?
it'd be these two pieces right here.
What do we charge for something like that, or do we just do it in exchange for keeping the weeds down?
So on this parcel, it was $200 a year. And they're responsible for keeping the weeds down too.
We did it primarily, so you didn't have to go up there and do it.
So he's talking all this. He's not talking any of the city.
So we probably,
The part to the north, the yellow line is the city. That is. Yeah,
Yeah, and he's not figuring that.
okay, click on that piece.
This one?
yeah, that's ours,
Oh, okay.
North of there is Idaho Falls.
Yeah.
and then Idaho Falls
Is
is
there a fence separating them right now?
I've never been
What's
out
that
there, I don't know.
one, the one just to the west of where your mouse is?
Here?
No, down, the
Here,
little one between that one and,
That's ours too.
this one?
no, up, that one.
Oh,
That's
yeah, that's
ours.
Bongo
That-
County.
Yeah, that's ours.
So,
So the access to this is difficult, because if you go down to where the road comes in,
mhm.
that's not owned by us, right?
Railroad crossing.
Well, the railroad crossing, but also that portion that he just clicked on is not owned by the county. So to get to where we own, we have to go through somebody else's parcel.
Steels.
But he's the one who wants to lease it, right?
Yeah.
So he's right there
Yeah.
next to it.
Yeah, he's got corrals and stuff here. He just wants to lease it for calving, for spring pasture.
Did the
And
agreement state that he's gotta make sure it's fenced?
This one?
Uh,
Yeah,
okay,
and this was fenced, and he's supposed to keep the weeds down and everything
and
else.
keep the fences. Did repair.
Yeah,
well, couldn't he just put a hot wire around it?
Whatever,
for out
For
here,
here.
I imagine.
We'd be
So,
okay with that, right?
whatever keeps the cows in.
So do you want to go ahead and put
I'll
these
try to
together?
work on some of the details, if you can get me his contact information.
Okay,
And I'll probably also double check with the sheriff and make sure that there's.
I guess
guidelines there.
maybe there's something too, you can leave some sort of option in there if they decide they're ready to build the facility, that
Cause they,
the
a
lease won't
few
be
years ago,
renewed,
they
or I
wanted
don't know
us
how
to
you
give
do
them a
that,
price
but-
for paving a portion of this
Yeah.
to use for training maneuvers.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we
It
never,
was probably not
they
gonna
didn't
happen.
give them a price.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah, I know that we had talked to him about that too, so.
The next thing I wanna talk to you about is is a contract amendment for JUB Engineers to change from design of 45th East to the construction, inspection, and engineering for 45th East. I've got a copy of it here, but I didn't want to put it on the agenda to have you sign, just because I wanted to kind of have you look at it. The contract amendment is $1.8 million. And right now it's based on early discussions with HK taking till close to October of '24 to finalize out all the project on 45th East. And I know that HK has told me that they're gonna try to do as much as possible to get it done, but they wanted to give themselves some leeway on paving and operations and stuff like that.
Am I understanding this correctly, that they put in a very good bid, was awarded the bid, and now they're asking for $1.9 million?
This is the engineer.
This is the engineer, this is construction engineering and inspection. To go out there, to have a representative there to make sure they follow the plans that were done, and to do all the compaction testing and the testing on the asphalt.
Shouldn't you, JUB, been able to foresee that? Why is this coming to us as an amendment?
So it's an amendment because their scope of work was to design the project, not to do the construction engineering and inspection of the project. So they did foresee it, it's just, we did a contract to do the design work, and that's all we did the scope of work for.
Could you see if they have any flexibility in a contract if H&K can get the job done quicker?
So it is based on time and materials, so if they get it done faster, they won't bill out all of it. That's what is kind of set around, and so if HK is able to do it by mid-24, then contract for construction engineering inspection will just.
Or if HK has an extra crew and they can work on the whole thing at once.
Yeah, I mean, it based on time and material. So if they get it done faster.
We just want to make sure it's as difficult as possible for Austin to get home.
So I was gonna say,
That
can you
can
let me
be
know what it
covered.
is and I'll go stay in a hotel for a couple of weeks.
Oh, this isn't a couple of weeks project. This is a
Or I'll put my
16
house
month.
up for sale, one of the two.
There is a way you can get to Iona Road.
I'll just go up to Ammon.
Yeah, we're gonna work on Amma too.
Yeah, just
And
close
I-
that at the same time, close
Yeah.
41st.
That's what we'd like to do.
Just close it all,
Close
big
it all.
square, nobody can go
And
anywhere.
hire, we're gonna close down hire there.
See, he was trained by the city of Anna, so.
He knows how to close them all at the same time.
We're just not gonna tell you about it.
Well, and that's why check with John, find out what the dig permits are. You know, because here again on the dig permits, we should put the requirement where we're working with GIS, they get us some as-bills to go in our GIS, so you have them.
Yeah. And that's, I think they're working on it, I just haven't heard too much.
Well, I know, but we can require that in the dig permits now.
Okay.
I think Chris is working in good faith on all that.
So I'll have this contract amendment for JUB on the agenda for next week. I wanted to talk about it before I had it on here for you to sign, so. Did you wanna talk about area of impact at all in the discussion we had?
I don't know that we really need to yet.
There's a lot of acreage there.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I was thinking about after the meeting is, during the meeting, right after the meeting, Austin and I talked about it as far as this area of impact. I think in that agreement, there probably needs to be something in there that if an area gets annexed within their area of impact, then they ought to be looking at annexing all of the roadway within, even close to it, even if there's a portion, like a parcel that's excluded from the plat. It's like, don't just leave that out. Don't cut it out and use that, especially on an arterial road, to get your impact fees, to do the improvements on it without this single farmhouse or whatever left out of the equation. Because that's what's happening now, is they have this plat and it touches over here and it touches over here, and all of this other area is included, but right here on the frontage, there's nothing.
I think you may wanna look into those, can you do a strip annexation to connect two parts of the city that surround somebody else? 'Cause Steve's always said that.
No, you
difficult.
can't.
See,
I have a court decision in my office on strip annexations.
Yeah.
They're ruling on them, so.
Like, can we make it force annex the parcel that's left out?
Well, I have some other stuff I'll probably say about it, but once road and bridge is over.
Okay,
Okay, anything else?
I think the weather was bad today.
Yeah,
We are out plowing and we had everybody pretty much was in by 5:30 this morning and out working, but it was nasty, so
If we'll clear up and the sun will come out.
it would help, so. But I was out on Meadow Creek Road this morning at just before 5, and I drove through to the Parks and Rec Center or Parks and Rec facility and come back, and less than 5 minutes later, you couldn't tell I'd been through it. So, it was nasty.
Okay,